live. Hello, everybody. I hope you're all doing amazing today. Shout out to my family and friends over on Facebook, as well as our friends and family over on Instagram. Hello, everybody. Here I am. Here we are doing my thing. I'm excited. Today is Friday. We're going Yes, Chef Carlos live at 1 p.m. today. And today's topic, if you haven't seen the title and whatnot yet. Today's topic is how food creates community, in my opinion. Again, this is just my opinion, my life experiences, and just kind of what I do day in, day out. So, with that said, as you all know, before I start any conversation, I light the white candle. And the candle for me is a sign of a light and guidance and leadership, and just kind of gives me a chance to open up a conversation. And then once that conversation is done, we're going to then turn off the candle for the day and then just close that chapter, which was that conversation. But still, I hope you all are continuing these conversations in your own life and asking yourself certain questions. Um, so that's just my kind of opinion in that. So I'm gonna go ahead and light this candle. I got my sparkly gray lighter here. Don't judge me. Let me do me. We're lit. We're on. Let's do this. Okay, so the candle has been lit. Conversations today. Today's conversation, as I mentioned, is how food creates community. And again, before I start that, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart to everyone who's watched my videos over the last couple of weeks and has liked my posts and just saw my stories and talked about these conversations with me on the side. All the DMs and private messages I've been getting are huge, so thank you so much. I appreciate it. A lot of you were able to share my story and talk about your story, and just kind of see how you relate to it. So, gracias. Gracias a todos. Y again, it's just going to be an amazing experience for me to talk more about who I am and what I do and why I'm about being me kind of thing. So, I'm not usually the whole kind of stand up, sit down, let's just chit chat kind of guy. I'm usually out there doing my thing, flaunting this and flaunting that and yelling here and yelling there, but it's all in good fun. For those of you who know me personally, y'all know I'm Craig. This boy be crazy. So, here I am just talking a little bit more about what I do and just kind of go from there. So, thank you to everybody. Yes, thank you. This is a nice shirt. I appreciate it. Thank you. And then if you want to learn more, let me know because I had a discount code with this company, but we'll talk about that later. I'm not here for that. So how food creates community. And I got my little board over there with some notes. Actually, it's just a big piece of paper that I found. And last week I used cardboard. So for now, we're going to see how that rocks and rolls. But yes, food creates community. Growing up, food, family. So for me, food was always kind of a chance for me to sit down and bring people together. And that's how I kind of took it from where it was to where it is now. So growing up, always, went to grandma's house, went to my mom's house, went to family's house. There was always food on the table, even if it was just a stack of tortillas that were just made, or some leftover from breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Even if it was some papitas, some chorizo con huevo, some nopales, which hard pass. Long conversation short. I don't really do nopales, but whatever it is, I never said no. I would always say, you know what, I'll have a taco because for me, if someone's offering you food, it's kind of like a peace treaty, to be honest, and kind of like they're offering themselves to you, and that's in their shape of food. So for me, food is kind of a way of asking for peace, or just kind of opening that chapter, opening that conversation to kind of embrace you. So for me, food has a lot of chance to kind of open that conversation, which is always good. It's always positive usually. It's always just, hey, let's sit down, let's have a taco, it's fine with that. Let's have a little, this, a little that. So for me, I always had that comfort food. And throughout the years, that comfort food has changed, that, though it's in, what's out. I've gone from having my favorite food like mole, but simply just having some eggs, and some fresh made tortillas, or even if it's not fresh made. I've also had, bolognese, on the comal with some tortilla. Hey, I was in heaven with some nice tomatillo salsa. But again, that's just kind of what reminds me of growing up. It's just food, having that food there, having that opportunity. And now I have my favorite comfort food. And even if it's snacks, I love my snacks. And even if it's, gummy bears, which I have some gummy bears here because, I brought some of my favorite snacks to my table. And I have some grapes because right now grapes are good. And so that's kind of what growing up and how food kind of is important to me and how I feel about it. Um, so food has always brought family together for me, in my opinion, even in a time of, happiness when we're celebrating something, but also in a time of mourning, obviously when you lose somebody or your family's going through some struggles, hey, let's group together, let's get some food and we'll talk it out and we'll hash it out and we'll just have those conversations, right? Another way of, celebrating with food or just kind of having food in your life is bringing people together, friends, family, and that's kind of what I've always instilled in my life was to make sure I bring those people to me. And I love to host. And even if I lived in a small little shack somewhere, if I lived in where I live now, or if I live in a way bigger place, I'd always like to host and just bring my friends and my families together. And the one thing that I always say, you know what, I got food covered. Don't mind that. I got that. You bring whatever you want. You can bring your snacks, your friends, your family, your drinks, whatever. But again, I got the food covered. Don't worry about it. So, food for me as a chef, it helps me bring kind of happiness to people. People always try my food and they're like, bitch. And I'm talking to one person in particular who I've shared a lot of food, adventures with. And I know she was watching right now on Instagram. But again, I've shared so many food um, conversations and adventures with that person that it brought us to tears at some point. So food has a lot, and it hits a lot. So for a lot of you who don't know, I am a chef. I teach disadvantaged youth ages 15 and 25 here in my area, and my focus is to guide them and teach them a skill set so they can get jobs. Okay, and culinary and food is not just a job for me, it's more of a life and a way of being. I was just a guest on Nikki's podcast. I don't know if you saw that a couple of weeks ago, but I was on a podcast a few days ago, sorry, and we talked about how important food was and what that relates to people and how youth take it. And so knowing that I'm working with disadvantaged youth, and disadvantage can mean a lot of things, anywhere from your, homeless youth or youth who are dealing with teen pregnancy or drug and alcohol abuse or, credit deficiency and not, able to graduate or kind of having a good mentor in their life, but also those who are, like I mentioned, homeless or human trafficking victims. It's a chance for me to get to like talk to them. So a lot of the youth that come in that are disadvantaged, that we call them, we try to like not focus on that, but focus on who they are as a person. Even if those who are dealing with, you know, their sexual orientation or just kind of not being comfortable with themselves and body positivity, not knowing who they really are is so important. Um, but also working with youth who I've learned, depression, anxiety, and how it hits so many people. So mental health is a whole nother process that we work with. But again, something that I always try to relate back to them is their culture and the food they eat and the food they love and enjoy and how that's so important to them. So every time I'm in a classroom or I'm asking someone to come in, or I've even been down the streets and I, pass by the parks and there's a group of kids and there's just, it looks like they're up to no good, but they could just be hanging out with, so and so. And we try to, pull them in and say, hey, you don't have to be here on the streets right now. You don't have to be at the park smoking this or doing that. You don't really need to do that. But if you feel like that's what you need to be doing right now, then you do you. But again, give me a shot, give me a chance. Come into our facility and just let's have some snacks, let's have some food, and let's talk. And that's why, for me, working with this population and being able to guide them and show them and give them some skill sets that they can take along with them to get a job, to be more successful, to be self-sufficient adults. It starts with just, hey, let's have some lunch. And then they'll, come in and they'll eat with me and then we'll, talk about what they're dealing with and what they've gone through. And this kind of relates to a lot of things that I do with my friends or my family, I'll bring them over, I'll have some dinner ready, and I'm just like, hey, where are y'all? How are we all doing? What's going on with our life? How's work? How's your family? People have lost people this year too. So especially during this time, we can't be as social, but you can still do that. You can still bring the food to people. and you can still make them something and be sanitary and contactless and do your thing. And like I mentioned, the last couple of videos is you don't have to be socially distant. You could also just be personally distancing, personal distance yourself. But socializing is so important for us as human beings, in my opinion, that I think we just need to keep going and doing our thing, even if we're on the sidewalk waving to our friends and family and being like, yo, hey, how y'all doing? It's all good. But I left some food on your porch. Let's sit down and chit chat, even if you're on lawn chairs. Like I said, don't need to be so socially distant, but definitely just personal distance yourself, which is okay. And that's kind of what I've been doing and had that chance. So if I can't be out there to say, hey, I miss you, I love you, I want to give you a big hug, I can make them some cookies. I can make them some caldo de res. I can make them some. I'm a fan of making soups on the hottest day of the year. I'm like my mom and my grandma, right? So I'm that Mexican man. So that's kind of what I focus on is just once I feel okay. So that's that. So I have youth, I work with them, I teach them, I guide them, I try to get them jobs and have them move on. And I've had such a huge success to that, where I have a 98% job placing rate for the last 7 years strong. And I've been chefing for almost 14, 15 years. Holy jeez, Lord, give me strength. And I've been teaching for almost 11 now. And that's how I've gotten the successful, I think, is the fact that I have a peace treaty. I have food that I can offer. I have a skill that I can make food. And if you don't make the food and you can't cook for life, which is all cool, go out and buy something. But that's how you can bring that peace tree to someone else. And if they feel like they're ready for it and they're going to accept it, they're going to want to accept it. But if you send them this or give them a gift or food, and they're just like, thank you, then hey, you did more than anyone else probably could do right now, and you gave them love, and you gave them food, and you hopefully that when they're ready, they're gonna come talk to you. Um, so that's kind of a little bit of more about how food creates community, and that's how bringing it into my world when it comes to teaching, and it's bringing it into my world when it comes to family and friends. But it's also talking about those. Once you eat something, it takes you back. It takes you back to your childhood. Sometimes it's good, positive things. Sometimes it's negative things. But again, it helps you kind of reminisce on where you came from and what you were about or what you were wanting to be about. But it also, relates for me to people who inspire me. My mom and my grandma are the two people that I kind of think of when I think of food or think something that, makes it comforting or home style food. And I just think of them and I'm just like, wow, I've always cherish the food that they've always made for me. And even if it was something they whipped up, a quick guiso, we call it, or a quick, chinguisu is what I refer to it. It's kind of just like that's what makes it feel better. So, but throughout the years, because of food, I've gained so many other people in my life who are very inspirational. Even if it's from a bottle of tapatio that I relate to someone in my life, or albondigas that I relate to this person, or this guy's lasagna in my life. And so I always like pinpoint my life back to these people in my life. Even if it's a drink they make, or it's a food they make, their chilaquiles, their pancakes, fried rice, my Hawaiian family in Hawaii over there making the best fried rice in my opinion, and I'm just like, oh my God. And it just kind of equates to I feel and what I'm about. So I'm able to kind of relate how people's personalities and way of loving and giving relates back to food. So, as I mentioned, some chilaquiles, someone's on there that, was making that. And again, someone who made lasagna, even your fudge. Yeah, you see, people are like, I'm looking at people who are watching and I'm like, oh my God, I'm talking about you. I'm talking about your fudge. I'm talking about your lasagna. I'm talking about your albondigas. And so I'm talking about a lot of things, chilaquiles, and a bottle of tapatio goes a long way in my conversations. So that's kind of how I feel about food and just how it's a sign of peace and it's a sign of like, um, yeah, just peace, really. Let me bring some food to your house and we'll just chit chat. We'll chit chat, we'll hang out. Even if we don't eat it together, send me a video, send me a comment, send me a message and say, hey, thank you for the food. I appreciate it. I loved it. Our family enjoyed it. But it allows you to open up to that conversation that you said, you know what, thank you, I appreciate it. How are you? How are things? What's new? What's going on? How's work? How's life? So during this time, especially during the pandemic, I think that's what I've been working on is making sure I'm not saying I'm healing people's hearts, but I'm literally trying to warm them up so I can be able to share that. So that's a little about that. And then when it comes to teaching and working with this population, and a lot of my friends who are in my life work with me. So a lot of them are working in different other industries or agencies or giving in different ways or nonprofits, especially because I'm in a nonprofit life. Um, it's a chance for you to kind of open up a conversation. Have some cookies there, have some food there. For me, I've always learned and felt that when someone's stomach is happy and it's full and it has food, even if it's not a big gourmet meal or just a couple of little snacks like my gummy bears, gotta love my gummy bears, bears in general, let's be real. But when your stomach is happy, it allows your heart to heal and it allows your heart to feel better and it allows your heart to open up. So say, hey, maybe it's time that I work on myself. Maybe it's time that I'm ready to move on. Maybe it's time for me to get this job, get off the street, stop smoking this, stop drinking that, stop doing these negative, bad things in my life that are not getting me anywhere. So it's a sign of that it can heal someone. And when it comes to our youth who are dealing, our family people, when they're dealing with mental health items like situations that they're struggling with certain things, it's like, hey, let's have something to eat. And once your stomach is ready and it's happy, it's going to allow your heart to be happy and move forward. And then hopefully your brain will then catch on and say, hey, what's going on? I'm changing. I'm getting happier. I'm feeling better. I'm being more positive. And again, it can relate back to the food. So, um, yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today, and how food creates community and how food brings me and my people together. It brings youth and my students together, brings friends and families together. So, I just wanted to give you all just a little bit of rundown of what I do and who I am and why I do it and who I do it for. So, with that said, I thank you all. I hope you all enjoyed it. Again, I just chatted and hung out and had some snacks and chat. That's what we're doing. That's what we're gonna call it. Sorry, these allergies and the smoke is rough right now. So my inhaler is in need, but again, we'll go through it. We'll get through it. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed. Before I leave, I do want to just kind of give you a little bit of a hey, if you have this opportunity, take it. So when I'm talking about opportunity, I'm talking about voting. For those of you out there who have the possible chance to vote, who are able to vote, who want to vote, or just don't know how or get involved, just look it up, Google it, where to vote, how do I vote, how do I sign up, how do I get there, what do I do? It's so easy to find out, but exercise your opportunity to vote. And I'm not telling you who to vote for, what to vote for, how to vote. I'm just saying, hey, learn about it, read on it, see what it's about, and see how your vote can be an impact. So, all right, that's all I have to say for today. Thank you everyone for joining me. Those who join me on Instagram, those who are on Facebook, and those who are just around the world sharing the love. Stay positive, stay hopeful, stay amazing, stay beautiful, and just keep doing you. And be just like me, try to be like me. I'm just that bearded, big and tall and fabulous guy out in my town and just doing my thing. So thank you everybody. I appreciate you all. I hope you all have a great weekend. Again, we'll see you next Friday for Big Ain't Bad Part 2. Whew, girl. If you saw last week's video, I was just at a whole nother level. I shared stuff with y'all that I've never shared to anyone. Only person that knew that was my mom. And if you haven't watched it, go watch it on my Facebook. Please check it out. And I'm slowly uploading it to YouTube so y'all can see them there. But I shared one of the most vulnerable things in my life that I went through, one of many, and no one else knows about it. And my brothers, don't even know about it. My best friends, my partners I've had in my life, don't know that I went through this and I did this. So if you have the chance, definitely go watch it, check it out, send me a message. If you don't have time, it's okay. I hope you watched this one for a few minutes and you got a little something out of it. But again, I hope you all have a great one. Thank you so much. And again, let's close this conversation. Let's close this chapter and let's get ready for the weekend. And I'll see you on next Friday. And again, if you haven't saw my podcast with Nikki Hunter, go check it out. It's on my last video. And again, I'll be on there next week again, so time will be TBD. But again, it's so amazing. Thank you, Nikki, for all you do. And all right, I'm done talking. Bye, everyone.